we were briefly talking a little bit about Conference USA, kind of how they're going to reformat the end of the schedule. I just really have to get your thoughts on that and how that's
Well, you know, if you ask my thoughts this time next year, I'll give you a better opinion of it. Right now, I think it's kind of like everybody else. We're trying to do it to ensure those top few teams playing better teams. The top 5 teams in the league will be in a pool, 6 through 10s in a pool, and 11 through 14. You know, those top 5 are guaranteed top 5 seeds in Conference USA tournament. I'm not totally clear on this, but I think the number 1 seed is ensured playing number 2 and number 3 at home. Is that correct? Right. So that's kind of important. But you know, we could end up playing so-called best team league, Marshall, who's going to be really good. That's our travel partner already. So that's the only team we're playing twice. Could very easily end up playing them 4 times. So, you know, I think some good to it. Some other things I wish we could do every year. Seems to be our rivalry is supposed to be Middle Tennessee. We'd like to play those games twice a year. Now we're only going to play that once a year. At our place this year, we don't go to Middle. So that will be an adjustment for everybody. But we'll see how it goes. You know, Coach Adams came up with some interesting, you know, thoughts on this. And he's been around basketball and he's just done a lot of scheduling, helped the Missouri Valley and schedule a lot. So we'll see how this helps our league. And you guys must be out of questions already. I'm going to have to ask you all questions. You're up, Chad. How's that? You're up, yeah. Oh, take it, President. Guys, let you ask questions. These guys won't ask me questions. I was letting.
We were letting the Louisville folks, you know, have the run at you.
No one's asked.
How big is Charles Bassey now? You know, he's on your roster. How big is that?
Why did I think a Louisville guy to ask me about Charles Bassey?
I think gonna be in the country would ask you that.
Well, what was your question?
That Charles Bassey and the type of impact you might think he has with your roster.
You know, for those who don't know Charles Bassey and the history of this situation a little bit, he's a young man that basically started recruiting 4 years ago when no one else knew anything about him. I was assistant at Texas A&M. Saw him the first time at John Lucas. Had my kids down at John Lucas working camp. And it didn't take you long to watch him just run as a 14-year-old, maybe a 13-year-old, because he's still just 17 now. This kid had a chance. I remember driving from College Station to San Antonio 3 different mornings because I'd get him up at 5:30 in the morning and work him out. And those back roads, some back roads through College Station to San Antonio, watch him in the mornings. When I came to Western, went to San Antonio once to watch him again his sophomore year. And he got hooked up in that grind session, came to Aspire Academy, which came out of Arizona. So it's definitely a lot easier to follow him up here. But Charles has been a guy that, you know, you guys who have followed his success, you remember 2 years ago, they'd ask him, who's your favorite team? He'd say Western Kentucky. Well, a lot of guys didn't want to hear that and didn't believe that. Well, he's a young man, first off. He's a tremendous student, almost a perfect student, 3.9. He's a young man that, you know, he's not a really outgoing person, but he wants to be somewhere where he can be impactful. And he's been on our campus, saw several games, and loved it. And again, we think he brings a lot to our program, besides just being a guy that has a chance to be a very good player. He's a terrific person. Again, those kind of guys, they play a little bit, and they're great people. Those kind of guys you want to coach.
He's obviously athletic, but what skills do you think that he's going to immediately be able to impact your team with, and where do you think he's going to be able to grow as a basketball player?
Well, I think his growth still needs to be offensively. You know, his game is, you know, for those who have seen him play, his defense is ahead of his offense. He played in that Hoop Summit game a couple, 2-3 weeks ago. I think he had 17 rebounds and 13 points. All those 13 points, he basically got them himself. Got him off the backboards. It wasn't just throwing it to him. So defensively, he can immediately impact us right off the bat. I think he's a little bit better offensively than probably people have seen too. I think he has the ability to make a 3-point shot. But most importantly, Here's what he's got. Here's where he's going to impact us. He continues to impact our culture, the kind of culture we want. He's a guy that's going to get up every morning at 5:30 on his own. He's going to find a way to get to that gym. And those things that he needs to continue to get better at, he's going to keep working at. And those kind of guys who can play, they can keep adding to the culture that you have. That's why he's got such a great upside.
So many guys come to college and defenses where they have to get better. So how special is it that on one of the areas that many are challenged with, he's already there?
Well, you like that. You like a young man that takes some pride in defending and rebounding, because that's an area of, what is that area in? Area of toughness. That's right. Most of these young men that come in, that's not an area that they love doing. You know, everybody wants to score the basketball. So you don't have a lot of young men like that, where their defense and when they take pride in that ability to defend, being ahead of their offense.
After a freshman year that Tavion had, what kind of leap do you expect him to make in year 2?
Well, you know, this time last year, I guess we had these meetings, he really wasn't a guy we knew consistent a whole lot about. Everybody knew he became Mr. Basketball in Kentucky, but really was under the radar guy. No one really recruited him. There wasn't but a couple of scholarship offers he had. If you told me last summer he's going to be as impactful as he was, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But it didn't take me long to realize he had something very special. There's not many freshmen that can come into your program and can lead your team in conditioning. When I'd go on the road, I'd call back in, I'd say, well, who did well today, who won? And every time, Tavion. Well, that's good and bad. I wonder where's my seniors at? So I was concerned too. Why are my seniors not winning these drills? But he showed me early on he was like this every day. And as a coach, that's what you want. You don't want guys on the peaks and guys in the valleys. You want guys who approach it the same way every day, the same effort and attitude, and that's who he is, on and off the court. He does the same way in the classroom. So to answer your question, the difference will be this, as I talk to him all the time. You know, last year you were third option, fourth option, just happened to be that way. This year, you got a big bullseye on your back. No longer you're the third or fourth option. So when there's a lot more expected of you, it means there's a lot more what? Accountability. So as good as you were, and as good as you've done things, you got to find a way to do it better now. And you know, I think he's got a chance to be a tremendous player. And he does something too. You guys, did you watch this last year?
Mm-hmm.
Well, most of the time, Tavion always drew who in that perimeter, the best offensive guy. Now, how many times? And that's good and bad. That means I'm hiding some other guys that's older than him. That's not good. But how many times did you take a freshman and put him on that best offensive player? That's an ability he has too, that probably went unnoticed, and I talked about it a bunch. Chad and Brad wrote about it a bunch, because it's one of those, when you're putting a team together, sometimes everybody wants to write about how many points you score. Well, that's one of those finer things. They don't keep stats on it, but one of the things that helped us be successful last year was Tavion's ability to really defend. So you add that with his, you know, no substitute for experience, which now he's got unbelievable experience. Of all the great players that played at Western Kentucky through the years, for him to be the all-time leading scorer as a freshman, that's a pretty good stat. But with that now, like I said, there's a lot more expectations. There's a lot more accountability. So we can't be who we were. We got to find ways to keep doing more and more. What you did last year is not acceptable anymore. You got to find ways to do more, because more is expected from you.
Looking back, how much of a green light, or how soon did you kind of give him the green light to show what he does?
Well, you know, I don't know if I have a green light and a yellow light. Those players kind of make those decisions. That's why you'll see some shots sometimes. You know, a good shooter, and he came into Western not known as a shooter now. I mean, in high school, I didn't think he's a very good three-point shooter at all. You know, he played because nobody could stay in front of him. He became a great mid-range player, probably about as good as you've seen. There's not a lot of mid-range guys, but the thing he did, he came in and worked extremely hard on that three-point shot. But he wasn't still consistent with it. Because sometimes with a shooter, when you trust them, when you trust a young man, I trusted him. Even though he may take a bad shot, I never said anything about that green light or yellow light. I trust him to make the right decisions. Now, if it's a guy who can't shoot, and we've had some of them, and they take bad shots, then they'll get that red light maybe. And that happens every once in a while. There's two of those guys, you know, coach, I'm open. Well, there's a reason why you're open, son. There's always a reason. So, but Tavion wasn't that kind of guy. Got to let him play. Just let him play. And again, let me say this: a guy who's your best defender, who's tough, you give those guys a little more leeway offensively. A guy who's not very tough defending and rebounding, he probably don't have quite the leeway offensively.
You know this area very well, so can you tell us about the importance of having Western Kentucky and Louisville play in a basketball series?
Well, I mean, I think it's great for all of us in-state people to play. You know, Louisville's been playing Kentucky. I wish we'd come up with some kind of tournament. Todd and I was talking about this, how we could get Kentucky and Louisville, ourselves, and one other school in a tournament somewhere. It'd be great for everybody. I mean, you got three of the flagship programs in the country, tradition-wise. Well, if you know this, 3 of the top 6, 7 teams in America, top 20 wins are Kentucky, Louisville, and Western Kentucky. So it would be great to do that. So that opportunity to play Louisville, who's a great program, great tradition, always going to be good. You know, I think it's big for everybody. And especially, we have a lot of Western Kentucky fans in this area. There's a lot of students, if they'll visit, they come and visit our campus, they will find out our campus is second to none in this state. We have a beautiful campus. We have a new president that's firing up a lot of people. And it's just where it is. And like we said, none of us have jobs if we don't have the students. And I can tell you, if a young lady or a young man walks onto our campus, the city of Bowling Green itself, it's a great place to get an education. And not too far from Louisville, which is a huge population of this state. It's a great draw for Western. We have a lot of students from Louisville. And I know that's going to increase a bunch in the next few years with the plans and ideals our president has.
I know you obviously make waves getting someone like Charles Bassey, but how much of your recruiting is still trying to find some under the radar guys, especially some of those in-state guys that people may not know about yet?
Hey, Brad, only makes waves because y'all write about making waves. It wasn't no wave for me. It's a 4-year relationship. And again, he's been telling y'all for 2 years who was his team he liked. What would he say?
Western Kentucky.
Okay, so why are you guys shocked? Why was anybody shocked? And why shouldn't he be at Western Kentucky? You know, there's a lot of schools get 5 or 6 of those guys a year. Right? So why shouldn't one of the better players in the country go to a program that traditionally is as good as anybody in the country? Again, there's only 2 teams won more championships than Western. Only Kentucky and Kansas. And there's Western. Only 6 other teams have 20 more win seasons than Western Kentucky. So why shouldn't a young man go somewhere where he has a chance to be special? This is a key word again. Be impactful. Why you want to go somewhere and maybe split time with a lot of people. And that's what we sold him on. And it's, if you've walked into Diddle, all you guys been to Diddle? Who hadn't been to Diddle? You been to Diddle? Well, when you walk in and see those suites, there's not a lot of arenas across the country has that to sell. And now, if you don't get there early, you're not going to be able to get in. So what else is there? In a great state of basketball, best in the country. You got great tradition, you got great fan support, we got great facilities, we got a great president and AD. Why shouldn't we? Why can't we be as good as anybody right there? That's the thing. I think 2 years ago when I talked, I know you guys, it's coach talk. I believed it. And now I think, well, maybe. I don't want it to be maybe. Why can't we? We can.
Is a guy like Josh Anderson somebody that can help you take that next step?
I can say this, he'll be a much improved player. That's for sure. Whatever you saw out of Josh last year, that wasn't a real Josh. Doesn't get eligible at the end of January. Mm-hmm. He really didn't go through a hard practice because he wasn't eligible, so he couldn't practice I couldn't hammer him the same way. And when you get eligible in January, you're really not practicing a lot. It's different then. So his impactfulness last year is not going to be close to what's going to be this year. I think he's come a long way. He's taken a lot of strides. You may see him, he may slide over and play some point guard for us even. I think he's got great, we all see his athletic ability, but I think he's a guy that can really defend. It's very obvious he can get that ball to the hole, and he's a good passer, but more importantly, he's a willing passer. So yes, to your question, he's going to be much more impactful.
Feel good going into the 2019 class knowing you only need maybe 3 or 4 guys as opposed to 8 or 9.
Well, Todd and I was laughing about that coming up again. Todd thinks it's funnier than I do sometimes. Remember, I've told this story many times. When I walked down my press conference, Todd walks me over to watch us play. I said, where they at? We couldn't play. We had no guards. Todd forgot to tell me that last conversation. Probably like our president again, didn't get all his conversations. So now to have the opportunity, at least to have 5 or 6 guys coming back, we're starting to catch up in the recruiting a little bit. We kind of been in a scramble mode the last couple of years when you got to go sign 89 guys every year. It's always not easy. You make some mistakes. You can't spend that time recruiting. Now we're at the point we start spending more time, believe it or not, with some juniors. I haven't even thought about a junior. When I first got the job, I couldn't even think about a senior. I had no players, but I couldn't think about a high school senior because you got no chance with them. I had to focus totally on some 5th-year guys. Never saw an AU tournament that whole April of young guys. Couldn't do it. So now we're catching up a little bit. Now we're catching up that I can look at juniors. With only 3 or 4 scholarships, you know, recruiting is about just getting some continuity. That when you get some guys to graduate, you got some younger guys to fill in. I don't have to go out and scramble around and take 5th-year guys, even though the 5th-year guys have been great for us. I mean, absolutely great. Or maybe not take as many JUCO guys. But again, the 5th-year guys this past year with Dwight, you know, when he came, he averaged 1.7 in Kansas. And everybody knew saw what he did for us. Darius Thompson, 5.5 points a game. Yeah, Virginia, what did he do for us? That's why you come to Western Kentucky right there. Think about what I just said. Those 2 guys came out to the best programs in America, didn't they? Virginia was picked #1 in the country, Kansas. But look at the impactfulness they had at Western Kentucky. That's the reason you choose Western Kentucky right there.
Anything else?
Oh, we got another question somewhere, Zach. I know that.
Any update on the vacant assistant coach spot?
Not yet. Not yet. We'll make a decision here real soon.
How rewarding is it to you, you know, after you did come and Diddle was kind of empty on a lot of those games to now, as you said, it's tough to get in?
Well, I never blinked with that. 'Cause I believe we were going to make it happen. And I hate to keep using this scenario, but I knew what we did at Mississippi State. Our last 11 years, we sold out every ticket was sold out preseason. It's a town of 20,000 people. We didn't have all the great players, but we got it going, got it winning. It's about players first, win second, and people come. Well, I didn't want to take the time for all that to happen as much, trying to shortcut that second one. People come. We got some players, and our fans have showed up. I thought last year, it was a brand new team. It was a fun team to watch. And we had some great success early. Looking back, we didn't know how good Villanova was early. They beat us 8. Well, it turned out they were pretty good. We knew Purdue, who was a top 15 team with 4 seniors on that team. We knew they were good to get that win early. Then turn around and beat a really good SMU team. So we got our fans really engaged early, and it was a fun team. It's a fun team because we had good people. And again, that's why it mixed so well. It wasn't all about being pros, probably maybe not a pro on that team. But we were able to put them together. We had some rhythm, we had some continuity with them, and was able to go play some pretty good people and have some success with them.
Any more questions?
Is that it?